Hey everyone, so I wanted to take just a quick minute to talk about the documents like these that you see inside of the Make Writing Starter Set. These are not graphic organizers, although they can be used to help writers and makers organize and plan their thinking. These are simply tools that reflect the parts of different kinds of compositions I typically analyze with young writers and makers. So a multimodal composition that aims to take a stand, it might include any of these pieces. And when I'm working with very inexperienced writers, we'll focus on the fact that such compositions often have an opinion, evidence, and a call to action. If writers are more experienced, we'll often take a deeper dive and investigate the claim and the evidence and the counterclaim and refutation and call to action that we're noticing inside of the piece. And more sophisticated writers, those who have more experience perhaps, we might actually take a much deeper dive and we will tease out and do maybe a rhetorical analysis of the pieces you see on the bottom. The texts that we analyze are not necessarily composed with written words alone. And so for that reason, we do a design analysis too, which I'll talk a little bit more about. But if you're interested in that, let me know and I can send a unit that makes a typical process for supporting rhetorical and design analysis pretty clear. Just drop a note in the comments or find me on social media and let me know and I'll make sure that it gets sent your way. It's called the Claim Makers Kit. My reason for sharing this with you and for saying that this is not what we consider a common graphic organizer is my intention is to help writers and makers develop a conceptual understanding of the parts of a build, and they can use any materials they want to begin rapidly designing their own build. So on Instagram today, I shared a quick photo of a 3-piece mural that aims to take a stand in my community. And this is what it might look like to just very rapidly prototype an idea for this using loose parts. You'll notice that intentional choices were made around the colors. Compare that to the mural. And also the materials that were being used. Think about the materials inside of aluminum cans and how paper clips might be a good representation of that. I like to use loose parts because they are representative of what we're thinking and they help us consider things like texture and shape and color and the way that things connect together. You'll notice that the garbage cans, for instance, and the call to action are kind of lined up. Something else around the use of loose parts, often writers lack confidence because they are daunted by the idea of putting down alphabetic text or print. As someone who's very comfortable with alphabetic text or print, I can tell you that I am daunted by creating gorgeous works of art. And so if you don't want to create a pretty problem and an art problem where your print problem currently lives, you'll take care to make this not about aesthetic, but to use loose parts and represent in representative ways and to support metaphorical thinking. The last bit of perspective that I'll share in this quick video, but I'll share some more in the future, is that what writers can do from here is begin to label these parts and then lift their labels and start to create passages or sentences or at least phrases that live inside of each piece. Or they can audio record themselves speaking about their intentions for each piece of this build, use what they hear to then begin transcribing and putting down in written words the things they want to say. Not every multimodal composition requires that transition to print, but if it's something that you're interested in, those are two very quick ways to support it. One last thing I'll leave you thinking about, because this isn't a graphic organizer, it's something that we can cut up and we can tinker with. We can move these blocks around. We can drop other pieces in. We can make this very experimental for the writers that we support. I hope this is useful. And if you want to talk more, just reach out in any of the places where I'm hanging out. Happy to.